Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach. We are excited to be here again, once again on Thursday evening. We have a phenomenal guest that will be with us tonight. Guess what, y'all? We have had this series of the mindset, the business owner's mindset. But I told Marlon, I said, man, Marlon, we got to do something different. Because think about it. Week one, we had Corey Boo. Corey Boo came and shared with us how he came. He lived in refugee camps and et cetera, and all those. And he had a phenomenal story. Many of us were inspired by Corey. Then the very next week, we came and we had, I believe we had Damian Johnson of No Grease. Was actually probably the third week. And then we also had with us Bill Picard. Bill Picard's story is tremendous. And I said, Marlon, listen, we've had Damien, we've had Bill Picard, we've had Emilio last week. We got to get a female entrepreneur on the line. We got to get one of the ladies on the line because we know that let's be real. We know that there are special things that they have to go through as a business owner that many of us men don't. And that's just real talk. We recognize that. And so we wanted to make sure that we could have a lady entrepreneur come on and be with us. And so you know who's the first one to come to mind. Miss LaPronda Spann is going to be with us tonight. She has been a tremendous blessing. And I'll tell you, for me, I first met her through Commissioner Leake's luncheon. And I went to that first luncheon. It was at the Government Center in Uptown Charlotte. And I was like, this is phenomenal. I cannot believe that this thing exists. And I didn't know about it. I didn't even know about getting certified, Hub certified, or MWSBE certified. I didn't know any of that. And I went to this meeting, and ever since I went to that first meeting, I have been just floored in telling everyone that you have to get certified. It's so important. And there's so much work. There's government contracts out there that you can go and take advantage of. And now we're part of that. And so we're just excited. I see that we have a regular coming in. Miss Ruth Bell is with us from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I know that there's other people. Go ahead and put in the chat box where you're calling in, where you're dialing in from, where you're watching the Real Money Coach from, because we're glad to have you. And so tonight we're going to have I told LaPronda when I talked to her earlier today, I just wanted her to keep it real. I just wanted her to just come and just share with us. Now, part of that is because the last time I seen her do a presentation, I'm gonna tell y'all, this was part of it. It said, get real, get naked, and get help, right? And I said, listen, that is who we want to come on the show. Somebody that's gonna just lay it out and just bless us. Because there is a certain mindset when it comes to being an entrepreneur. It's not like an employee. When you're an entrepreneur, it's like the buck stops here, right? And people say all the time, well, when they have a misconception about being a business owner, their misconception is that, that you don't work hard or that you got all this vacation time. But listen, even when you're on vacation, you're working. Even if you're fortunate enough that you can unplug, the phone still rings. And I remember my cousin, great guy, entrepreneur, in Nashville, lives in Nashville. And when I was a student at Western Michigan University, he came and he said this. He said, if you don't answer the phone when they call, they'll stop calling. And that stuck with me ever since I was 19 years old, is that when they call, you got to answer the phone. You got to call them back. You got to do what you can to stay in contact with your customers. Otherwise, they stop calling. Now, when you have a job, and I believe one of our guests said a job stood for just over broke, right? They said when you have a job, it's a little different, right? And so now we got Dr. Bonita Harris from Charlotte. Thank you for checking in. And so now as an entrepreneur, it's different. Actually, I think I work more than I know I work more than a 40-hour week. And now that we've had this COVID situation where here now so many of us are working from home. Now, I'm used to working from home, but now everybody in the house is working home. My wife's a teacher, my daughter's a teacher. We're all working from home. But now the lines become blurry, right? And so now sometimes when we had that cutoff, like when I had the office, I could go there on a Friday afternoon, and at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or whatever, 5 o'clock, whatever time I cut off for that day, I leave and I go home, and there's a separation. But now that we work from home so much, the lines are a little bit more blurry. And so we have to be careful with that. But the work ethic, and maybe she'll even talk a little bit about the work ethic. And I know that I've asked her to share a little bit about who she is and even about being a mom. Hello, Alice Martin. Good to have you tonight. And so we have all these wonderful people that come every single week, and we appreciate all of you coming and being with us. And so we're just really excited about what LaPronda is going to share with us tonight. And so what we want you to do, we want you to be very active in the chat box and all those things. And I really got to give a shout out to Chris Jackson, even because most of the time we're giving him a shout out, it's at the end of the show. But I want to do that up front because technology wise, this guy is on top of it. All right, Dr. Cassandra, nice to have you with us tonight. And so here, he is phenomenal. And we did a webinar today for Hub, for North Carolina Hub, and just how he works the technology, the landing page, the intro is really phenomenal. So if you need a tech person, you can reach out to us. You can email us at info@realmoneycoach or Chris at Real Money Coach. But let me tell you something. He's not available on Thursday evenings at 8 o'clock. He's not available then. He's all ours. So we're just really happy to have him and be a part of this team. And again, I wanted to remind you this just real quick, is that remember, Real Money Coach, the real stands for relevant. We want to bring relevant information to you. And then relevant information that is educational. The E is for educational. And then actionable. We want to bring information that you can take and you can take action and you can do something with it. And then lastly, the L is for life-changing. So we want to bring relevant, educational, actionable, and life-changing information to you each and every week. And so we're always open to getting more suggestions. Matter of fact, if you have some suggestions for us, you can email us at info@therealmoneycoach, or you can even put it in the chat box tonight. But we want to bring the information that you want to hear. And that's why we're so excited about this Business Owner Mindset series. Part 5 tonight. And we're going to bring up my partner, Marlon Smith. Marlon, how you doing this evening?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, brother. Just rocking and rolling, man. Rocking and rolling. And wow, what a phenomenal day that we've had. Oh, wow. And man, what a what a wonderful way to cap off a wonderful, amazing day with LaPronda on, and that's gonna be awesome. And what I'm really grateful for is that an idea whose time has come, and that's one of the things about entrepreneurship. You just are innovative, and for all of our listeners, I'm here to say it's possible, right? Les Brown had he said he had a tape series. It's possible, and that's what you got to hold on to sometimes. So grateful to be here, brother.
Man, and I know, Marlon, you've got 28 years.
Yes,
and really this week I celebrated my 23rd year in business.
Wow.
And so when you think about it, man, so many businesses don't survive. Most businesses don't survive 5 years even. And the fact that and I can remember, and you've told the story a lot of times about when you quit your job at HP. And I remember when I told my dad, of course I have an accounting degree,
right?
Went to school on a scholarship and all that kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna go to work for State Farm. I'm becoming a State Farm agent. That's what I was doing back then. And he looked at me, he said, you gonna become an insurance man? Because our conversation of insurance man was the guy that came by and took the little $5 and they wrote on the thing. He said, "You're gonna become an insurance man. You got a degree. You got a degree, and you're gonna become an insurance man."
Right.
So it's just so funny, man. But here we are, 23 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm having as much fun in business as I ever had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that we're doing some things that we really want to do in terms of financial literacy, financial education. And so again, it was a phenomenal day for that.
Yeah, and I love what your dad said. You want to be an insurance man? What that cracks me up, man. Because I'm just thinking. I mean, it was so long ago, and I've been doing it so. When your work becomes your play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, life just takes on new meaning. And I say electrical engineering. Electrical engineering. I mean, that's no joke, man. And I'm just thinking. I mean, it's been so many years, but I know people were kind of, you gonna be a motivational speaker, go from engineering to speaker, right? I mean,
right.
Almost like opposites, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Personality types and whatnot. And so, but again, to your point, when you're on purpose, time just flies. I mean, I got up 4 o'clock this morning. I've been nonstop, right? And it's just like,
man, you were texting. You were texting before 6 o'clock this morning.
Right, man. I mean, it's real talk, So
what I was going to say is I really understand what you're saying, because for me, it's my work and my ministry have become the same. It's come one and the same. And so it's really, a blessing, because when you enjoy your work, you get to work with people that you want to work with, and all that kind of stuff, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So man, I think it's time to hear from our guest. I think
so. And she's got a phenomenal story.
Man, listen, she's got so many accolades and awards, man. Miss LaPronda Spann. I'm looking at this, man, and I'm saying 2016 Rising Star Award, Women's Business Center, North Carolina. 2015 Graduate of Leadership, Charlotte. 2014 Minority Business Enterprise of the Year. 2014 Charlotte Business Journal Women in Business Achievement Award. 2014 Urban Rebound Count Me In for Women Economics Independence.
Come on.
Business Accelerator Award winner. And so she is the founder of Lane Consulting. And I know even today when we were on the Hub webinar that we were doing, there were so many people. I saw people in there saying that she'd been a blessing to them. And really, before we got on, I was talking about how she's been really a blessing to me.
Wow.
In the fact that Commissioner Leaks and the luncheons that you have, and it just exposed me to a side of business that I didn't even know was there. And so indirectly, directly, roundabout, all of that, she's had a great impact on a lot of people, including myself, that may not necessarily have worked with her directly, but certainly her influence has really made a difference. And so because of that, I'm so very, very proud to introduce to our listeners tonight, Miss LaPronda Spann.
All right.
There she
is. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, y'all. All right now. There she is. Come on now.
Man. I didn't know that you all had been in business over 20 years. I feel like I need to be learning from you.
Oh, hey, I tell you, congratulations on all your accolades, young lady. Congrats.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, God is good.
Oh, God. For real. Man, I'm telling you, I mean, it's so exciting, and look forward to hearing more, because, one of the things, and as Tony said, I mean, during the Hub Financial Wellness for Entrepreneurs program, right? We saw you, and then I guess some other people saw you, and one lady said she had just gotten her Hub certification, and then she said, "Thank you, LaPronda." So how does that feel, LaPronda? I mean, you are, you're helping business owners, entrepreneurs, individuals. How does it feel to be a blessing and have people say, "Wow, thank you"? How does that feel for you?
So it feels like I have been chosen and I'm in my element for this purpose and this reason. My mother is the one who was the helper. My grandmother was the helper, but my mother was a teacher. And I knew I didn't want to do it in that way. But I did want to turn a light bulb on in a way that will give more of us an opportunity to make more money than we could even understand is out there. And so this certification is a way for me to give that and to share what little I've learned, because I'm still learning, to position people for the next level in business. Or if they're not in business and they're thinking about it, giving them that push or that encouragement to make the leap, and stop sitting on the sidelines, which is what I did for a very long time.
Right. Wow.
And I think that's so important when you talk about taking a leap of faith. We call it level up, and all those type of things where we are at one point, but at some point you got to get in the game.
Right.
And if you're not in the game, you can't win. And
Right.
that's the reason I really talk to people a lot about getting certified. And true, a lot of the things that we saw at Commissioner Leaks, a lot of it was involving maybe consulting or mostly construction, those type of services.
Mhm.
I just saw so much opportunity for people. You got a dump truck, you better show up.
Right.
You better show up at the meeting, and you got to really be. You got to be in the room to get blessed, right?
Right.
That's a good part of it, is just being in the room. So,
Yes.
if you wouldn't mind, talk to us a little bit about, since we've been mentioning Commissioner Leaks and the luncheon, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it. And of course, we got the current moderator on the screen with us.
Right.
We got the moderator emeritus and the current moderator all on the same screen at the same time here on the Real Money Coach. So talk to us a little bit about how that evolved and even what you're doing now.
Sure. So I was just like many people that came into the room. So for those of you who don't know anything about Commissioner Leaks Small Business Consortium, it is a bi-monthly lunch and learn where we get small minority and women-owned businesses in a room at no cost to them, Black and brown people, because look, Black Lives Matter, we're in that space right now. And so and really talking them through what government certifications are, what certifications are when you're wanting to do business with government and major corporations, and then who are the people that you need to connect to next to land your first or next contract. And it's not only about construction, it's also about those of us who are in service industries outside of construction. Most of us don't know that it exists. And the reason I knew that was because I was on a contract where we had to go out and assess how many small business owners knew about what was going on in the city when it came to government and corporate contracting.
Wow.
And so that opened my eyes even more. But what I learned even more was the government wasn't spending enough money with us. And because of that, they were often not meeting their contracting goals. And so I was happy to share what little I knew about entering this space. And so my claim to fame is I learned about it 6 months, right before I left corporate America in 2012. I've been in business, praise God, now 8 years. And I left October 5th, 2012, landed a contract with a client the very next week, met a woman in a room at a chamber meeting, stood up to say who my business was, didn't really know how to pitch and tell people who I was, but was able to share, met with her, landed a contract that completely replaced my monthly salary, got certified within 2 months after that, landed a contract within 90 days with CATS. That was my journey, jumping into business full time. And what I didn't realize was that I was doing something that they said most small business owners don't do. Hence why I started winning a ton of awards. And I'm thinking, well, why is no one understanding how to do this? And what is missing in this space? And so others saw that and started coming to me, asking me about the certifications and asking me if I would do it. And one friend told another friend, and it's been word of mouth ever since. So I became a niche in this market. It was not intentional at all.
Wow.
I started going to Commissioner Leaks consortium meetings because that was the one place that I knew at the government center where they were talking about certifications. And I was there just like everybody else, learning, approached them about joining the planning team because what I realized is they needed to be more strategic in the education they was bringing, because I don't think the people at the table knew how much money was flowing through Charlotte and who needed to be in the room.
Hmm.
And so I joined just to bring the education and to take notes and minutes as a volunteer.
Wow.
And from there, I served in that role for about 2 to 3 years before the previous moderator stepped down. She had been in that role for 7 years. It was certainly scary because, you're taking over somebody's role and it's either sink or swim. You're going to make this role or you're going to be a disaster. So you better.
Right.
And I certainly didn't want to let my people down, but Lord knows I didn't want to let Commissioner Leak down.
Right.
So LaPronda, let me ask you, how long when you took over and kind of replaced Pam, how long had you been in business?
At that point, I probably had been in business 3 or 4 years.
So here you are, just 3 years before you take a leap, you leave corporate America, right? Mm-hmm. You leave the safety of a paycheck, right? You leave the safety of sick pay, PTO, health insurance.
Yes.
All those things that as entrepreneurs we have to do. What was it like making that leap? What did it take internally for you to take that type of a step?
Well, so what I can describe this process very easily, especially for those who are listening that are new in business. Those first 90 days to 6 months is like, oh my God, what the heck have I done?
Right.
Right. Everybody teaches you how to work for somebody. Nobody teaches you how to be an entrepreneur.
Come on, somebody.
So that's the first thing. Now, the beauty was I was smart enough to know to always take classes and have a mentor or business counselor. So anybody that's on this line that's new to business, there are so many resources in this area. Please find a business counselor, a coach, or somebody that can help guide you and help you be accountable, because it is very uncomfortable doing something you've never done before.
Sure.
That was the first 90 days. 6 months, it was, okay, I'm either going to swim and make this work, or I have to go back to a place that I do not want to go to, which is corporate America.
Wow.
Now, for those who are listening, especially for my mothers on the line, I was a single parent. My daughter was 9 when I took that leap. And they asked me, they were like, are you crazy? You're going to leave this job? You have a child. What are you going to do? I said, I got 10 months of 401k. I better make this work.
It was no plan B. This is it.
No plan B. And people would send me jobs and I would just delete it. Like, nope, I'm not doing this. Now, let me also be clear that it wasn't easy. Okay. So that's the 6 months. 6 months to a year, you start figuring out, you learn how to make money, you understand if you're smart about it, you understand what product you offer, you listen to your clients because they'll tell you what problems they're having, and you can certainly offer them a service based on their problems. People will buy from you because you're responding to the problems that they're having.
And that's really what it's all about, right?
It is
all about finding a problem, or identifying a problem, and then providing a solution.
Right. And so, those first 6 months to a year were scary because initially I jumped in working with nonprofits. Certifications and government contracting wasn't on the radar. It found me. As I mentioned, people started coming to me, sending me from friends to me, and that is how I ended up here. And what I also learned is it's a very male-dominated industry. So even in this space, when people see you as what is a misnomer, you become this person that they gravitate to because they want to see you successful because it's so few of us in this space as women. Wow. So I'm really passionate about helping women, nothing against the men, but because we're the caregivers, the mothers, the wives, and everything else that we are, we can still do all of that and be successful in business. And so I really gravitate to women a lot. I just want more women to join me in this space.
Sure.
And then after that first year, I was figuring out winning awards, didn't even know what I had really done right. But again, then that is how I ended up in Commissioner Leak's consortium and taking over as the moderator. And it's been a blessing ever since. I mean, I am always great about leading from behind. I'm okay with being in the background, supporting a product or a service to excellence. Even like I said, I was even taking the minutes and notes just to keep us on task. When I got to be pushed out front, I was unprepared for that because I was okay being behind the scenes.
Okay.
However, within a year, we outgrew the space that we were in.
Right.
Standing room only. We were at fire code. They were ready to put us out of the room because we had gotten so popular. When I first started, they were passing baskets around, taking money donations up for the lunches that people were being served by caterers. And by the time I left, I always pray that I can leave it better than what it was.
Sure.
We had 5 sponsorship levels. And it was 4 or 5 of us as volunteers doing this work. By the time I left, it was 15 to 20 people that were volunteering, bringing their subject matter expertise to the table to make this thing grow. And I'm so grateful for that, because people can spend their time making money, because really it was volunteer, but the visibility was great. And so when you're willing to sacrifice your money and time to come join another army and help grow something that doesn't exist in the way that it does now, it's a blessing. And I'm grateful to have been able to help lead that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think time, talent, and treasure, right? Those are what we have, our time, talent, and treasure. And you got to be willing sometimes to give some of that away in order. I mean, you can't get anything if you're always tight, you're not willing. But I think sometimes when you're willing, it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. I know I was so impressed the first time I went. I was just blown away. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it exists.
And what I appreciate, LaPronda, is, just your transparency. I think that, you got out there, okay, what in the heck did I do? I think that was your words, right? And no doubt. And the thing is that, one of the distinctions that you said is a mentor, a coach. I want to really laser in on that. Success leaves footprints. And for all of our viewers, just understand that, there's always somebody out there that's done it, right? I mean, we're not really, yes, we're trailblazers and all that, but to really think about it, I always look back, when I think about, oh man, this is rough. Man, this is not rough compared to what our grandparents went through. You with me?
Right.
Straight up. We got to keep things in perspective. I get it, the murder of George Floyd, and, and I understand that. And I also understand that, we have no excuse, right? And, one of the things I also heard you say that I think is a phenomenal distinction is, people were sending you job applications and whatnot, and you just deleted it. Like, yo, that's, either I burn the ships, right? That way there is no opportunity for, return, right? Sometimes you have to go that far to say, yo, I'm in it, right? I'm going to drive this car until the wheels fall off, right? And so I appreciate that. So I wanted to really bring out those 2 distinctions that I got from you. Number 1 is find a mentor. And that's, and now it's so amazing. You had mentors when you first resigned that helped you, right? And now you're passing the baton for others, right? And I can feel your passion as far as, wanting to help women in particular, brown and black folks, understand what's out here. You're very passionate about that, right? And then number 2 is you said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. And I want us to all understand is when you're focused, as Tony said, opportunities come, right? I always say it's almost like knocking on a door, right? So most people knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. Oh, I guess nobody's there, right? But if you got that tenacity where you're just knocking on the door and like you ain't going away, right? The door of opportunity. Right? On the other side, someone's like, man, that fool, he ain't gonna stop, right? Okay, let me open up the door.
If the front door don't open, I'll go to the back door.
Right. So,
but I tell you, I was that net. Like, I'm gonna keep coming around, and I'm coming right on back. So you tell me what I need to know.
That's it. That is it. Yeah. So I just wanted to recognize that, because again, for our viewers, and you were very transparent. It was not easy. It was not easy. And you talked about how, you got some awards and, but you were just kind of, flowing. And that also shows, I believe, that perseverance wins in the end. I really do. And, I know we're all, people of faith and whatnot. The thing is that divine blessings, grace. I mean, here, and the last thing, I'm sorry, you got me so excited. You motivate the motivator, LaPronda. The last thing I want to say is that you, a giver, as Tony was saying, you took notes, meeting minutes, right? Just to give, volunteer. And that's what will happen is your gifts will make room for you. Right. By you being a volunteer, by, taking meeting minutes, you didn't have to do that. You could have just sat there and right. But you said, no, hey, let me raise my hand. I'll take the meeting minutes, and then next thing you know, the opportunity came for you to be the moderator, the team lead. Right. And voila. So I just wanted I always like to, because we hear stories, we hear these inspirational messages, but it really comes down to distilling the nuggets of wisdom, so that our viewers, right, can take it and say, yo, okay, let me apply the same nuggets. Because remember, success leaves footprints. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just say, even with volunteering, going back to what Tony says, is yes, you can be a giver. I would just say volunteer smart, because I'm very strategic in where I volunteer my time. Okay. I volunteered at the community college because they had a small business center. They asked me to be a counselor. I was volunteering, but it gives me credibility and visibility. Right. So volunteering with Commissioner Leaks Consortium, you're talking about a county commissioner who's running a consortium for a small business. So be smart about where you're volunteering your time. I'm not saying you can't, serve meals and go drive people to the doctor and all of this stuff too. But I'm just saying, when it comes to your business, get crystal clear about what areas you can be in that can help you be visible.
Well, and I was thinking about it when you were talking about, being offered jobs and those type of things. One of the most powerful words in business is no. And sometimes we have to say no to some very good opportunities because of what we're pursuing as business owners, as entrepreneurs, where we know we're going. Right. But I think it's very important that we don't do it haphazardly. We have a plan. And that's what I hear you saying is, volunteering is important, but when it comes to your volunteering from a business perspective, have a plan, have a strategic plan of knowing when to volunteer, because those volunteers and people coming into the small business center and seeing you there as a counselor, that type of thing, you can't get that advertising, right? You can't get some of those things, getting up, being the moderator for the consortium, that you can't buy that advertising,
right?
That effectiveness. So I think that's real good.
Now, LaPronda, let me ask you, because one of the things you said, you are kind of like a behind the scene leader. You don't need the spotlight. You don't really need, quote unquote, the credit. But yet at the same time, you were, I don't know if you were pulled. I don't know if they dragged you in. I don't know if they pushed you to be in the front of the room, right? To be like the team lead. Talk to us about, your normal, how can I say, your normal personality. Would you say that, you're really more, kind of, I don't know if low key is the right word, but more, not spotlight oriented. And do you feel that the way that you were pushed or pulled into the, into the spotlight, do you believe on a I don't know, a spiritual level that was almost taking you to the next level in your business? Can you talk to us about that? Because I want our viewers to understand that sometimes you can get comfortable, but when you need to go to the next level, you don't be so resistant. So talk to us about that.
So what I say is promotion comes from above. God promotes what he wants. I don't have a desire to be in the spotlight. I am in the spotlight, but it's not my driving force to be in front of somebody. My driving force is to help my people get where they want to go in business, leave a legacy for their families while I'm leaving one for mine, teach as I'm being taught. So that is really my driving force. I just so happen to be out front because of it. But it was because I wanted to be accountable for my purpose and what I was gifted to do for people and with people. When it comes to being a leader, the best thing I could have done was led the consortium, because I was able to work with a phenomenal team who taught me how to lead.
Yeah.
I had to trust them in their expertise to help us grow this thing. I wasn't the tyrant. I wasn't the authoritarian. I trusted them. When they gave ideas, I listened. So that is really, and when they can give ideas and then you implement and incorporate them, what does that do for them?
Right.
Trust you more. So that was really the phenomenon behind it. It wasn't I wasn't looking to be out front. It was just how in being better as a leader, how do I help others be better too? Because it's a mutually beneficial. It's an exchange. They're helping me to be better. I'm helping them to be better. So we're growing together. And I think that is the success of the consortium. I can't take credit to say I knew A plus B equals C and here are all the steps to make that happen. I was just willing to say yes to this role and trust that what I needed would show up, the right people would show up, the right resources would show up, whatever needed to happen in this space, I would trust it. I'm crazy enough to believe that God is who he is.
Come on.
And when you say he owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, I believe all of it. And I believe some of them cattle mine. I mean, what I
was thinking about, your gift will make room for you. In due time, you shall be exalted, right? Yes. And how exalted isn't by trying to jockey and put ourselves in a certain position. Even myself, I mean, there's some roles that I have. I didn't ask for the roles.
Sure.
But God just bestowed them on me, right? Yeah. And so when that happens, man, sometimes one of the things that we struggle with too is how to accept the blessing. Mm-hmm. And I think Dr. Harris said that she loved your humbleness. And I think what we have to realize is that we're not intended to be the end of the blessing. I don't see myself as the end of the blessing, but really the beginning. I'm a conduit of the blessing. Let the blessings flow not to me, but let them flow through me.
Right.
And we have to be willing to do that and understand that sometimes takes some sacrifice too.
Yes.
And so I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, but the other part to that is you also have to know when it's time to make a transition. Because sometimes people will hold on to the blessing and that spotlight.
Yeah.
And you running it into the ground now because your peak, your high point in the space had come. And so trust enough that let it go. You've done what you were supposed to do. Who's up next? And you have to trust that the person that you bring up next will do even more and greater things. And so I'm grateful because I was able to watch that transitioning to Marlon. Now, Marlon had to interview with the team, and I didn't have any say-so when he was selected. And a lot of people were nervous about, oh my God, we got somebody new, LaPronda leaving, what's going to happen? But you have to trust the process. And so I trusted that I could let it go and it will be okay because we can get in our egos.
Right.
And you can drive everything into the ground and you'll look up and everything that you have worked so hard for is nil because you wouldn't let go when it was time to let go. God always has a new thing, a better thing, the next level for you. Be okay with it and get uncomfortable with being in this new space because I had to say, okay, now what?
Level up, right? So once you conquered, you got to move to the next level. Yeah. And sometimes what God does, he takes us out of the comfort zone of what you've been doing for 23 years, what you've been doing for 8 years, what you've been doing for 28 years or whatever. And he takes us into a new realm. And he says, behold, I'm doing a new thing, right? Now, we have to understand that at the same time, the word says that there's nothing new under the sun, but it's a new thing for you. It's a new thing, a new challenge, a new frontier.
Yeah.
And that's what I see. I see these transitions in your life as you're here sharing with us is one from the corporate world into being self-employed and then into the role as moderator and now into your new role as far as the Commissioner Leaks is going. So tell us about the new role. Tell us about the global initiative that's going on right now.
So because of my diligence and the work that I was doing with the consortium, Commissioner Lee came to me and tapped me to help put together a group that would take a trip to Nairobi, Kenya, to start exploring doing business internationally. And so we had 4 months to bring a team together and to raise enough money to send a small business delegation to Kenya. That was scary. I didn't even know how it was going to happen or work. I just knew that I was pulling folks in the room, and we were prayerful that everything we needed would show up.
Wow.
There were 10 of us in the room. 4 of us actually got to go. Through donations, people were willing to give, they were willing to sponsor. And so just the fact that, people trust Commissioner Leak enough to want to sow into her vision, and then to support those of us, because she didn't even go. They were supporting us and going. And then for her to trust us enough to sit at the table with every level of government and the small business community in Nairobi, Kenya, representing Mecklenburg County. And so that was a blessing. I was able to take my mother and my daughter with me. And we got to see my brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa. And Mark, you know what that's like because you've lived there. And so, I just being diligent and operating in excellence. Well, I didn't have to pay a dime to go. That's the blessing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to trust, because sometimes I think we always think it has to show up in your bank account, but God can cover it any kind of way he wants to. Wow. So we went to Kenya in November for 10 days, came back, had to report back to not only Commissioner Leak, but we also presented to the Board of County Commissioners. And so because of COVID-19, we've kind of gotten that shut down. However, the work that we had done and the consortium success led to the county for the first time putting the consortium and the Global Wealth Exchange in its budget. And so both were awarded $50,000 for the year as a seed. Before that, we were simply operating off of donations from people who were really sponsoring the lunch. So it is a testament to the work that this consortium has done over the years and the growth that has happened, that, again, I could walk away leaving it better than what it was.
Wow. Them lunches be good too, by the way. I mean, I remember the one your mother did, right? So that's really awesome. And I want you to unpack something, because you said something that struck me. You used the word excellence. And we use this phrase all the time. We said, if you chase excellence, money will chase you. You won't be able to outrun the blessing. So unpack that a little bit about your pursuit for excellence.
Sure. So, I am just kind of very disciplined. So forgive me for those of you all who not, or just kind of like to be loose in how you do business. I am very disciplined, very structured. A lot of times for my business owners who want to get to a certain place, I tell them, when you're asleep, I'm up working. And it's not that I'm team no sleep, but sometimes it requires you to dig in and get done what you said, because initially all you have is your word and delivering a product or a service. That in and of itself yields trust, but always presenting yourself in a manner that speaks excellence, professionalism, mastering your craft, executing to the fullest that you can. Now, I'm not always diligent in doing it. Don't get me wrong. I fail quite often. But because I'm honest about it with my clients, they forgive that and see beyond it and still come back and hire me again, simply because I have not put myself in a position to be better than them. I am them. And so how did I support you? And even when I'm failing them, I come back and just tell them, I fell down on the job. So let me get this done. And I go back and do it. And so, always operating as if you are being watched by the supervisor that you didn't like that was watching you all the time. How about that?
Right.
Just to make sure that you get, a great performance evaluation in a job. Make sure you give yourself a great performance evaluation, because you've operated at the top of at the top of your excellence at all times, even when nobody else is looking. And I don't think people aren't looking. I remember sitting in my office working, and my daughter came and laid on the floor, and she said, "Why are you always working like this?" And I said, "Because I need to get it done." And then the following week, I started winning awards. And so I realized, oh, that is why. When no one's looking, there's always something being birthed in another realm that shows you that what you're doing is not in vain.
I want to ask you this. I want to ask you to give advice. Let's just say, for example, we have a 24-year-old young lady. Well, let's just say her name is Adrian, and let's just say it happens to be Adrian Jackson, and let's just happen to say that she started a new business called the Real Money Coach Credit Repair. What would you say to a 24-year-old young lady starting a business out? And I think there may be others that are listening, despite that shameful plug right there. There may be others who are listening. What advice would you give them today?
So I tell people the one regret that I have, if I had to have any, is that I didn't jump sooner. So Adrian, I applaud you at 24 for taking that leap, because you have so many years to get it right and figure it out and get support without the kids and the husband and all of these other things if you don't have any. And so that is the first thing is, I'm grateful that you were willing to take that first step. That's the first thing. I would always say find a mentor or a counselor or a coach to remain accountable, because they have done it already. They've been where you are. If they truly want to see you succeed, they will not steer you wrong, because you are a product of the support that they're giving you. And if you are failing, after them giving you a lot of information and support and connections in the network, then is it the new young entrepreneur, or is it the mentor? And so I would just say find a mentor, because most of them really want to see you do well. I'm one that always want to see folks that I'm connected to do well. So definitely a mentor. And then, the biggest thing is trust yourself, because I think a lot of times we think, well, they so young, they don't know everything, but they do life different than we do. And so I've learned so much from my daughter. She's 18. I don't use technology the way she does. I don't know social media the way she does, but it's work. These kids are becoming millionaires off of YouTube and Instagram and all these other places. So it's okay. How do we build a bridge between that so that there's a mutual exchange of information? They're teaching and we're teaching. Right. And so I would just say, definitely, get used to no. No is okay, because that means you're getting closer to a yes.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Go for the no. It's a great book called Go for the No.
Go for the no.
If you're not hearing no, you're not asking enough.
Yes. And then I would also say, those mentors help you understand what you should be charging, because you have to know your value and add tax, because far too many of us undervalue.
I'm gonna write that down. Know your value. And that's worth it tonight. Know your value and add a little tax to it, Marlon.
I have a teacher, but because a lot of times we come out of America, we charge people based on what the employer would pay us an hour, not realizing that the employer was getting far more for your position than what they were paying you an hour. So now you can charge the employer's rate, not the employee's rate.
And then that piece right there is huge, because we think, okay, because I'm making, $20 an hour, right? But wait a minute. You for number one, you cost your employer more than $20. If you ever hire somebody, you know that right away, right? It costs more than that $20 per hour. And you did it. Then there's the profit margin built into it.
Right.
And so you gotta realize that how valuable you are. Know your worth. That's one of the things that we've been studying, is understanding and know your worth.
Right.
And when you know your worth, you operate according to your worth, right? And that's great advice. That's great advice.
LaPronda, let me ask you, because life, I believe, happens for you, not to you. And COVID-19 happened. And, you and I have talked, we've had some conversations. Talk to us about, the initial shock, right? And how you move through it, right? Because I think this is real. This is real. This is when things are turned upside down. How did you adjust? How did you deal? I know about the drives in the car, right? But talk to our viewers, like, how did you deal with this? Because to me, we got to get really real, right? I mean, I want to hear, how do you go through it? Not really knowing where that next step is going to be. Talk to us about that.
So that first month of COVID was hard. I mean, I was like, this is crazy. I feel like the walls are closing in. I was like, let me go buy a patio set so I can sit outside and work. Like, it was crazy. And I mean, so Marlon is saying, I kept saying I would go on a sanity cruise. I would just get in my car and drive up the street every day just to feel like I was doing something that was normal, because it was such a difficult transition for me. And it was not that I wasn't accustomed to working from home and, working with my clients and, operating within my home office. It was just because somebody told me I couldn't go outside no more. And it's like you were put on punishment and you didn't know why.
You're in a timeout.
Yeah.
And so I would laugh, and people would call me and say, "How you doing today?" And I'll be like, "I'm sane today. Nah, don't ask me tomorrow," because I'm but what I also was able to do at some point was to really begin to take the transition and look at it for what it was. It was an opportunity for me to rest, because I had been running for years.
Yeah.
So I hadn't sat still long enough to really account for what I had accomplished, what I was doing, how I could get back in the lab, because I call it getting back in the lab, to start creating. So it gave me an opportunity to get back in and create a product that did not exist. And so, as I mentioned, Marlon, when we were in the Winner's Circle a month or two ago, I hired a consultant.
That's right.
And said, okay, look, I've had these projects sitting on my desk. One has been a labor of love for 3 years. I need you to help guide me through this, hold me accountable, walk me through who I need to be connected to. And within a month, I started seeing results. I mean, it was amazing, but I needed to use that time.
Yep.
Now, I would also say I was smart enough to have had money saved.
Okay.
So I wasn't waiting for, the rainy day had come. Thank God I had prepared before the rainy day. Some of us had not. And I also made it a point after the initial shock to not just stare at it all day. Stare at it, but what you going to do next? What's the plan?
Now what? Right.
That was the reason why I hired the consultant, because I knew I don't need to walk this alone. Okay. We are doing this a new way, doing a new thing. And the blessing is I probably have made more money in the last 3 months than I probably it would have taken me 6 months to do, because I was so busy ripping and running.
Yes.
The biggest thing is I'm in the lab creating. And so I have a new product that's launching. I have my website will be relaunching soon.
All right.
But Lou and Barry, I'm going to give you a shout out. From Spice Lab Media is my consultant, and we put together a project team of a videographer and an image consultant, which Alice Flowers is my image consultant. She had been working at the consortium, which is how I met her.
Wow.
I have a photographer. We have the hairstylist, and we have a course content creator. Like, I have all these folks that are part of a project team, but I just went back and started thinking about what can I do next? We're not doing business as usual. So what's the next step? You can't look at it. You have to move forward. So give this the opportunity to create what has not existed from you before.
Come on.
And everything that you've learned over these years and giving it to the world. And so that's where I am.
And I know Tony's chiming to get in, but I got to say, Tony, even with COVID-19, right? Tony said, Marlon, I got this idea. I got this download. And on April 2nd is when we launched this, the Real Money Coach, virtual town hall meeting, right? Because we saw the fear. We saw people really, being challenged, right? And so, Tony said, Marlon, I think we have an opportunity to serve, to be a blessing. And April 2nd, and we thought we were only going to do it for the month of April. And now what? We talking about it's August, right? And it's like, people, we got, you can see on the chat box, people all over the United States. We got people that tune in from other countries. And so it just shows you, and I love what you said about the laboratory, and I want Tony to chime in, but I would really also want to hear you got this whole assembly, this project team. I was a consultant and photographer, and I was like, okay, LaPronda, all right now.
I ain't playing no games.
LaPronda.
I want to say one thing about that, though. The thing that I think was so important, and I hope people didn't miss this, is that she said, you have a consultant that got a consultant. And I believe that every coach needs a coach.
Right.
Every Timothy needs a Paul.
Right.
There's wisdom in a multitude of counselors.
Right.
And Marlon, to your point, when you think about this, and what I'm proud about what we've done is on April 2nd, we said, hey, we're going to have one. Then we came back and said, well, we need to have two. And so we went from that on April 2nd to having our first government contract in August.
See?
Later.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
And so, when you think about what God, he made us be still, because I believe that if we were continuing to do business as normal, that we wouldn't be where we're at right now.
Correct.
But I love the fact that LaPronda said, I got a consultant. And so sometimes what we need, sometimes we can't see the trees for the forest, right? So we need that outside set of eyes to come in and say, here's a step. This is something you've done. So I really like the fact that you did that. And that's so encouraging. And I want everyone to know, just there's wisdom in getting a multitude of counselors, to getting a consultant, to getting a coach, a mentor. I don't know that you ever get to the point where you're not in a learning mode. And you told me that earlier when we talked on the phone, is that you're in a constant learning mode. And I think that's awesome.
That is. And LaPronda, so what is, we got Team LaPronda, we got the team, extraordinaire, the dream team. What are you working on? I mean, how can our viewers, I know you're revamping the website, but can you give us a little inkling of what's coming, and then also how people can connect with you? That, because I mean, I'm seeing in the chat box, people are like, wow, your humbleness, your humility.
We're going to bring up our contact information as well.
Good.
So
talk to us about what you got in the pipeline.
So what I've learned is I can't be everywhere all the time.
Okay.
And so in order for me to be able to give myself in a way that is, serving more people, gives people more time with me, unfortunately without me being present, but you can at least hear my voice, is to offer it through an online course. Okay. So I get to offer them the online course on government certifications and contracting, because, it's so much more than just a class where you're sitting there for 2 hours. You can never cover everything that I've learned in those 2 hours. And we've talked about this some of the time, that certifications is not enough. It's just the paperwork. Here's what you need to do next. Here's who you need to connect with next. When you meet with them, here are the questions you need to ask when you're in that room with them. Did you know that the government has a calculator and they typically know what you should be billing them? You just don't know it. And so all of these things I get to share in an online course, and I am moving myself from local to global, but using technology to do so.
Man, well, that's awesome.
That is
local to global. Love it. Love it. Love it. The international Lane Consulting team. Love it. Let's do this. Chris, if you want to bring up or contact information, and this was, I think if we go to the very last of that slide, it's there.
Yeah, that's her email
number and all those things. And because we want people to know how they can get to you and how they can, get your services and all those types of things. So if you're watching, you can take a screenshot of that if you need to. Whatever you need to do, here's her contact information. And any last words you want to share with us as we're about to close out the show?
Sure. So my thing is, for people who are listening, many of you are uncomfortable with where we are. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's okay. That's a place of where growth happens all the time. And then again, find a coach. Get in a space where somebody is supporting you, hold you accountable. Stop sitting on the sidelines. You don't have to do this alone. There's a lot of money out here to be made, and many people have lost their job. And a lot of times, these jobs that have been lost has really been a reflection of your inner calling to work for yourself. We just don't have the courage to jump. And so now is the opportunity for you to jump. There are many of us who are coaches and consultants that are willing to support you, walk you through this along the way. It is not easy. I will never tell you it is. And I did it as a single parent, sometimes with my daughter on my hip, but it is going to be okay. I'm here 8 years later. I was visible before I started making money, but I'm starting to see the benefits and the value of being visible for so long, to really be able to capitalize on what I've learned. You can do this. You can do this. Go for it. Go for it. It's working for you.
Amazing. Wow. Go for it. GFI. Go for it with LaPronda and the Dream Team. Come on, that's what I'm talking about.
You're gonna be my sidekick.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We go on the road, girl. You know, the international LaPronda. I love it. I mean, you know, and that really, for me, having your team, I think that's what that's my takeaway from tonight. And for our viewers, you know, type in the chat box, what's your takeaway? Because again, you know, every week, you know, just having these thought leaders, inspirational voices, people that are very real. And I want to thank you, LaPronda, for being so transparent, because I think when you take off the mask and you're just real, that's what people resonate with. And that's what we need.
Exactly.
We need more real leadership. We need more real, authentic individuals to say, yo, this is the real deal, right? I mean, yeah, you can look at the accolades, you can look at all this, but you know, I cry like other people, I bleed like other people, right? And so, you know, but yet I still perseverance, right? Mm-hmm. Staying true to my calling and understanding that, you know, there's a higher force, right? That I'm co-creating with. So I just want to say thank you. Yeah. So go ahead, Tony.
Yeah.
Well, and I just wanted to again just thank LaPronda for being with us tonight. When I called her, I texted her. She didn't hesitate, and she said, you know, I'll be there. I'll do it, and that's just amazing. Again, shows her heart,
yes,
her humbleness, and her willingness to come and share with other people. And when we do this, this may touch people you may never ever even meet.
Right.
But I believe that when we plant, God will provide the increase. Mm-hmm. And I thank you for sharing tonight. I'm encouraged. I probably not. She already said, "What are you doing working?" I mean, I can't even go to bed now. I mean, I got to stay up. I got to stay up and work, man.
Right. LaPronda's up. LaPronda's up. I'm going to stay up. Okay.
So, we appreciate you. We look forward to when we can get those luncheons back, when all this pandemic is over and we can go back to seeing people and that we've got to know. You know, I think, you know, maybe about a year or so, I've been going to the luncheons. And so looking forward to continue to support it financially and doing those things that we can to make it happen for other people. That's really what we want to do. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad to have passed the baton to Marlon, because it came right before COVID-19 hit, and he understood technology far better than me. And I'm like, oh my God, it would have been a disaster if I was still in that seat. So I'm glad you got the tag.
Right.
Listen, I was pushing it. I wasn't going to let him not do it. Like, you've got to do this, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, too, that I like about is that you recognize gifts in other people. And I thought that he would be the ideal person for that. And so we just wanted to encourage him to do it. I'm so glad that he did. And I think he's doing a phenomenal job. And I'm not just saying that. I'll tell you the truth when we get off slide. But no.
Right.
But yeah, it just kind of works out. And when people, and I think that's one of the things too, when people stay in their lane, right? Yeah. Technology is not my lane, you know? And so when people stay in their lane and we get the right people in the right seat on the bus, it just all works. It's the teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. So thank you again for being with us tonight.
Yeah. And LaPronda, please stay in the green room just so we can have a little debriefing with you. But yeah, this has been fantastic. And I think, again, through the chat box, we can see people really resonated with what you shared. So please stay in the green room and we'll, definitely just connect with you. But, I want to say thank you. Thank you, LaPronda. Thank you, Tony, for, again, Tony received this download April 2nd, 2020. And again, we thought we're just going to do a couple virtual town halls. And here we are, August. I think today is August the 6th, I believe. Time just flies, right? And the beautiful thing is that when you're on purpose, life takes on new meaning. And I want you to really think about what LaPronda shared tonight is, the power of stepping out on faith, right? Faith without works is dead. And one of the things that she said was, wow, my only regret is that I didn't jump out earlier, right? And so that was pretty interesting because once it's gone, it's gone. And so the fact that she said, wow, and many of you right now, I'm talking to your spirit. Many of you right now know there's more for you to do. You know it. You can feel it. Right? I'm not talking about how you look. I'm not talking about on the outside, but on the inside, there's more for you. And one of the things that LaPronda said tonight was the fact of having a coach, having a mentor, having an advisor, right? Somebody who can help you along the way. She said that, when she first resigned from her corporate job as a single mom, she got a coach, right? And even now, taking it to the next, after all the accolades, after all the awards, after all the recognition, she got a coach, another coach. And not only that, she's assembled a team. So you want to make sure that you have a coach, a mentor, an advisor, right? Somebody that can, hold you accountable to being your best and sharing information, but also circling yourself around individuals that can help you take it to the next level. So I wanted to pull that out. Number 3 is the perseverance, right? She shared how, basically, there were things I didn't know and there were things that, didn't go as planned, right? But she failed forward. She was very transparent with her clients. And what did she say? Even though I may not have, maybe hit the grand slam or hit the home run, still they could feel my passion. I was honest. People respect that. We're not robots. So I want to share that also. Number 4 was that she was a giver. She gave, right? She talked about how that she was basically, taking meeting minutes at the consortium meetings, and your gifts will make room for you. See, people are watching. She talked about the time when her daughter was, Mom, you're always working. And then that following week, boom, she got, recognized with another award, right? People are watching you. And so it's not about being on the front, on the front stage. It's about behind closed doors. So I wanted to bring that up. And then the last thing I want to say is innovation. Innovation. If you heard what she said, even with COVID-19, yeah, wow. I'm like, what is going on, right? I got to take these drives just to have sanity drives, right? Just to get in the car and drive around the neighborhood. Just, that's real talk, right? Because it could feel like, man, this is so abnormal, right? We're not used to it. But she also said it was time to go into the laboratory. And so what I want to encourage you, because COVID-19, there will be a vaccination and blah, blah, blah. And, and we get back to, business as usual, but please don't miss the blessing. Every single day, give yourself some time, some me time, some time, right now I go for a walk every morning, right? I have my scriptures on index cards. That's my time to connect, to get grounded. What's your thing? Some people love to listen to music. Some people like to write poetry. Some people journal. Some people meditate. Some people exercise. What is your daily gift to you? Because that's important. So on behalf of the Real Money Coach, I am Marlon Smith in partnership with Tony Jackson and Chris Jackson. And we say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Because remember, there's greatness within you. And what you do today will dictate where you'll be tomorrow. Stay blessed.